Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Washing Dishes where I correct a mistake that I made several videos ago where I cooked a steak but didn't tell you how to cook a steak, right? That was kind of rude of me. So today, I'm going to make a nice steak dinner for myself and a dear friend of mine. I've got some wonderful steaks that I got from a local butcher. We're going to do some baked potatoes, some glazed carrots, and some really amazing herb and MSG butter. Stick around, see how it turns out, and we're going to cook a restaurant quality steak dinner for way less than you would spend at a restaurant. First part of this is the MSG and herb butter. Super easy. Butter, herbs, MSG, seasonings. Chop up the herbs, mash it into the softened butter, roll it up, pop it in the freezer, let it sit until we're ready to use it. To store this, we're going to use some parchment paper. I'm going to scrape the butter onto the parchment paper, press it into a kind of log shape, and then fold the paper over and then use a sheet pan to really press it into a nice, tight package. There's got to be a better way to say that. Anyway, we're going to roll it up in the paper, wrap it in some plastic wrap, roll that up, and then we'll pop it in the freezer, and it'll be nice and firm when we go to use it. And now, a quick aside.
What is MSG, and why are people afraid of it?
Okay, so MSG is monosodium glutamate. A glutamate is a salt. It's just not just like table salt, but it's a lot like table salt. MSG, monosodium glutamate, occurs naturally in all sorts of things. The big one is konbu seaweed. It's just salt. It doesn't taste like anything. It makes things taste more like themselves. The reason people are afraid of it is, okay, so Wayback Machine to the 50s, 60s, 70s, and even into the 80s, it was a whole thing that restaurants, specifically Asian restaurants, specifically Chinese restaurants, advertised no MSG because people thought, or were convinced, depending on how you want to look at it, that MSG gave them headaches and made them sick to their stomach and all kinds of stuff. And there was a lot of really racist BS going on that was trying to convince people that this immigrant food is making you sick. Don't eat food made by immigrants. And guys, y'all, it's not the MSG. It's the fact that this is food you've never eaten before. Your body doesn't know what to do with it. MSG is in all kinds of stuff. If you've ever eaten fast food in America, ever, McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, Taco Bell, Carl's Jr., In-N-Out, every single fast food restaurant uses MSG. It's why their French fries taste good. So, MSG is nothing to be afraid of. The panic about it is largely bigotry and lies and badly done scientific studies that have been roundly debunked over and over and over again. And yeah, there is a very small percentage of people who are particularly sensitive to glutamic acid, which is the thing that makes this make things taste good. And there are some people who have a bad reaction to that, but not like the bad studies in the decades ago supposedly proved. Yeah, it's fine. Use it.
The steaks for our beautiful steak dinner are going to be some rancher steaks that I got from Wise Ox, which is a wonderful local butchery here in San Diego. That's right up the street from my house. These are really nice. They're steaks cut from the chuck region, so they've got a lot of really great marbling. Just going to salt them right now. We'll pepper them later. I don't want the pepper to burn in the pan. Yes, we're cooking these in the pan. We're going to cook them to mid-rare, but first, we're going to let these sit at room temperature and get into making our glazed carrots. Glazed carrots, one of my absolute favorite, super simple, super easy side dishes. I've got some baby carrots that I bought at the grocery store in a cold pan. I'm going to add just enough water to cover them. I'm going to add about a quarter cup of brown sugar, about, I think that's 2 tablespoons or so of butter. And then we're just going to cook it until that water, butter, and sugar turns into a glaze. That's really it. It could not be simpler. I'm adding a little bit of ginger just for a little zesting, a little brightness. But yeah, like seriously, this dish could not be simpler. Even if you never make the steak recipe in this video, make these glazed carrots. I cannot stress how easy and delicious they are. So we're just going to let them go for a little while, and we'll check them every now and then. And once the glaze is reduced and the carrots are soft, you're good to go. It may take you a few times making them to like get the get the exact amount of water in the pan right, but yeah, super easy. On to the main event. Cast iron pan, high heat, a little bit of oil. We're going to let that come up to an very, very smoking hot temperature before we get the steaks in. Well, it seems I lost the footage of me putting the steaks in the pan, but here they are sizzling away, getting a nice crust on the first side. We're just going to let them go. I'm going to turn them every couple of minutes just to kind of cook them evenly, and so one side doesn't cook way faster than the other. But that's it. Just cook them till they've got a nice crust, and you should be good. As long as your pan's hot, you're not going to overcook them in the time it takes you to get that nice crust on them, especially if you turn them a couple of times as we go. And once we've got that nice crust on both sides, or almost have that nice crust on both sides, we're going to go on to basting, which is, the French term for it is arrosé. But yeah, we're going to baste them with an herb butter, and this is how that looks. I've pushed the steaks up into the top of the pan, added some sage and some thyme and a bunch of butter, and I'm going to just let that butter melt. And as the butter melts, I'm going to baste it over the steaks, which will add a bunch of delicious buttery flavor, a bunch of herb flavor, and help improve the crust and the sear on the basted side. It's really beautiful, it's fun to do, and it makes for some absolute spectacular steaks. I'm going to chop up some chives real quick for our baked potato. I didn't do the baked potato. Coat it with oil, stab it with a fork, rub it with salt and pepper, put it in the oven for an hour until it's soft. It's a baked potato. I can do a whole episode on it if you want. Let me know in the comments. I'm going to cut a few thick coins of our herb and MSG butter, which you can see didn't get mixed quite as well as I had hoped. But yeah, I'm just going to cut a few discs of this to use for our potatoes and our steak, and then we will get to our plating. For the potato, I'm just going to cut a little slit, squeeze it together to pop that open, and then I'm going to run my knife along the inside just to kind of break up the potato in the middle so that it absorbs the butter and seasoning better. But yeah, it's a convenient little restaurant baked potato trick that I learned when I was working in fine dining. It just makes things taste better. I'm going to spoon on a few of our beautiful glazed carrots, and I'm not going for a crazy fancy plating here. I'm just making dinner for my friend and I. But you could definitely gussy this up in the plating section a whole lot. Well, now it's time to cut into the steak and see how we did. Yep, bingo. So I cooked the steak to the medium side of medium rare because this is a cut from the chuck or shoulder section. It's going to be a little tougher. You can't do it super duper rare. You've got to go a little bit longer and actually cook your steak. I know. It's not the end of the world. It'll be delicious. It'll still be tender. It'll be absolutely spectacular. But we're just going to lay that on the plate, rearrange it to make it look pretty, and fan it all out and drop our butter on top, and then we've got a beautiful restaurant quality steak dinner. Yeah, I should have put it the other way. You know, just it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. We're good. Look, it's still beautiful. Look at that. Look how beautiful it is. Add a little bit of butter to it. Yeah, couldn't be better. Since we already salted it, we're just finishing it with a little bit of black pepper. And then I'm going to add just a little tiny bit of lime zest to add just a little pop of brightness, of citrus. Everything on the plate otherwise is really kind of not heavy, but like rich. So that little bit of lime zest is going to make a big difference. And here we have our beautiful finished plate. Let's give it a taste. Get a little bit of that butter on there. How'd we do? I'd say we did pretty well. Look, I've worked at fancy restaurants. I've cooked fancy catering. I've been paid unfortunate sums of money to make steak that was not as good as this steak that I just cooked. Potatoes delicious. Carrots, as I've already said, are one of my favorite quick and easy side dishes. This was a wonderful dinner for my friend who helped me shoot and I. We were super happy with it. Potatoes a little hot, no stress. It's the basting technique that adds a huge difference. Anyway, catch me on social medias down in the description. Try this out. Catch you later.